Hi, good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here today. And yeah, excited to talk about emotions. There was a lot of emotions in the last session. So emotions matter. How many of you have seen this movie? It's awesome. I highly recommend it. It's all about the voices in your head and how emotions drive behavior. When I started studying emotions over 15 years ago, emotions were not cool. The perception was that emotions get in the way of rational thinking and are this annoying thing that we have to always turn off. And in the past, I'd say 20 years or so, there's been a lot of research to show that emotions organize, not disrupt rational thinking. In fact, our emotions influence every aspect of our lives, from our health and well-being, how we learn, how we make decisions, big ones, like who you're going to marry, but also small ones, like what you're going to have for breakfast, and how we connect and communicate with one another as human beings. The problem is, as more and more of our lives migrate to, digital environments, emotions are missing from that equation. Our devices and our technologies know who we are, know where we are, know what we're doing, but they have absolutely no sense of our emotion and our emotional states. And this is only going to become worse with more and more devices becoming connected. So we like to say our technology has a high IQ, but no EQ. High cognitive intelligence, but no emotional intelligence. Except, of course, in the movie industry, where there's been a lot of fascination with characters and machines and robots that have emotions. So everything from WALL-E to Samantha, the super intelligent operating system, to the Ava in Ex Machina. Have you seen any of these movies? Raise show of hands. Yep. So what fascinates me the most about, let's say, Samantha, for example, and her, is it's because her emotional intelligence, is because of her intuition that she's able to persuade the main character in the movie to do a lot of things. And ultimately, he falls in love with her. So granted, in the movie industry, it goes a little bit too far. But in my research, I've been asking the question, what if our machines had emotional intelligence? What if our excuse me. What if our devices could sense how we're feeling and respond to us in real time? And what got me on this path is I was doing my PhD at Cambridge University over 15 years ago. And I realized that I was spending more time with my machine than I did with any other human. Sad. But this machine, despite this intimacy, had absolutely no idea if I was having a happy day, a sad day, if I was frustrated or annoyed. And it was annoying. It also sat between me and how I communicated with my family back home. I'm Egyptian. And that was annoying too. I felt like all my emotions were just going, were being lost in cyberspace. And so I started on this journey of building machines that can read your emotions. And I particularly focused on the face. Humans communicate emotions through a number of ways, your voice, your posture, your gesture. But I focused on the face being one of the most powerful ways of communicating emotion. You can tell if a person's happy or surprised, empathetic or curious. And the way the face works, there's been over 200 years of research around facial expressions. We have 45 facial muscles that drive our facial expressions, tens of thousands. And we call, about 30 years ago, this guy called Paul Ekman and his team established a scoring system for facial expressions. So for example, action unit 12 is the lip corner pull. Let's try it together. It's the smile, basically. Action unit 4 is the corrugator muscle. It's when you draw your eyebrows together. Show me if you can do that. It's like you create all these wrinkles here. So there's a code for each of these different facial muscles. And that as a human coder, you have to go through 100 hours of training to become a certified fax coder. And then it takes you about 5 minutes for every minute of video to code the facial expressions. They're very laborious. So what me and my team did was built automated algorithms that can read these emotions in real time. So how do you do that? How do you train a machine to read a facial expression? So let's take an example. A smile and a smirk. So a smile is obviously often a very positive emotion. A smirk, not so much. But they kind of look the same. They both involve the lips, and they both involve like lip corner pulling. And so the way we train a machine to recognize the difference is we give it tens of thousands of examples of people smiling, and then tens of examples of people smirking. And then the machine learns that there are patterns that are common to all the smiles. It looks for all these textures, shape changes, colors, movement. And it essentially learns that all smiles have common characteristics and smirks have subtly different characteristics. So the next time it sees a new face, it's going to process and look for all these filters or patterns and say, oh, aha, you know, there's a smile here or there's a smirk. So the best way to demonstrate if this technology actually works is to try a live demo. So I would love to have a volunteer, ideally somebody with a face. Great. Unlike Andy's gig, we have not tried this before. I think you come up this way. So we're going to see if this works. Awesome. So your name? Dina. Dina. Hi, Dina. Thank you. Alrighty. So hold the iPad. So the first thing we want to see is if the computer actually, if the iPad, yeah, just face the camera. Okay. If the iPad actually finds Dina's face. So it does. So you can see there's a bounding box. It's identified the main feature points on your face, your mouth, your eyebrows, your lips, and so on. And now we're going to see if the computer can actually recognize your different expressions. So for example, start smiling. Yeah, so you can see that it's recognized her smile. Now that, that was a big smile. Try maybe a subtle smile. Let's see if the computer will be able, yeah, so it reads that as well. Eyebrow raise, an expression of surprise. Yeah, that's great. That was a great one. That was a combination of two, actually. Brow furrow. Yep. And you tried the frown, try the frown again. Yeah, that's surprising. So on the left side are all the different action units. They're the building blocks of an emotion. And then on the right side, for example, if you smile, joy should go up. Yeah. Look disgusted. Like, what would you look like if you were like... Right. I don't know, actually. Like a nose wrinkler, like, ugh. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, you're getting there. Okay. And valence is a measure of how positive or negative an emotion is. So if you're positive, we should see valence turn green. And if you're negative, it should turn red. So yeah, try like negative. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And engagement is how positive or negative, is how engaged she is. So if you have a poker face, engagement is really low. If you're emotive, it becomes high. So hang on. We'll try a different one. So now, this technology is running in the background, and you are engaging in some digital experience, for example, watching a piece of content. And so we're big on opt-in, so the first step is you're opted in, and if you agree to turn your camera on, you'll be watching some content. And it's tracking her expressions in real time.
This looks new.
Think it's safe?
What is it?
Okay, caution. There is a dangerous smell, people. Hold on, what is that?
This is disgust. She basically keeps Riley from being poisoned, physically and socially.
That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's broccoli! Yeah! Well, I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Riley, if you don't eat your dinner, you're not going to get any dessert.
Wait, did he just say we couldn't have dessert?
That's anger. He cares very deeply about things being fair.
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
Right, here comes an airplane.
Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
That's great. So you can see Dina's moment-by-moment emotional response. There was great surprise expressions there, and obviously a lot of smiles. So it was, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Round of applause. Can we switch back to the slides, please? Okay. So this started off as an academic project when I was doing research at Cambridge University, and then from then on, I joined MIT Media Lab to essentially focus on one particular application of this technology, and it's helping individuals on the autism spectrum understand and read the facial emotions of others. And so we built, this was back in 2006, we built these wearable glasses before Google Glass existed, where the camera would face outwards, it would read the facial emotions of an audience, and then it would give the kid real-time feedback on, what the sentiment of the crowd or the individual they're interacting with is. But being at MIT, we got a lot of, we have what we call sponsor week, so twice a year we'd invite sponsors to our lab and they would see everything we're doing. It was called Demo or Die Week. And for the longest time ever, like for 3 years in a row, they'd visit and they'd say, all this autism research is pretty cool, but what about the commercial applications? And so I started jotting them down, and after 3 years, there was a whole bunch of them, and we essentially decided to spin this out into a company with the vision of bringing emotional intelligence to the digital world. And we realized that there was a lot of applications of this technology, and we kind of saw it as a journey with multiple steps along the way. And so our first market was the media and advertising space. So as you saw, we can measure people's emotional response on a moment-by-moment basis. We can capture this journey. And brands like Mars and Kellogg's and Unilever and entertainment studios like CBS, for example, and other publishers, they engage with our data because they want to understand how people respond emotionally to content. And we've seen evidence that emotions drive consumer behavior, like sharing on the internet, but also ultimately buying products. And through doing this, we have amassed the world's largest emotion data repository, which just blows my mind away, because when I first started research in this space, we had no data to do any of this, and now we have 3 million face videos analyzed from 75 countries around the world, 12 billion emotion data points, and many, many brands. So I'll just share one thing we've learned by looking at this data. So in the US, we kind of organized all the data we've collected into different verticals, so like baby care, pet care, prescription, ads, and so on. And this is enjoyment. So you can see that at the top of this axis, pet care and baby care elicit the most. Pet care and baby care advertisements elicit the most enjoyment. And way at the bottom here is like hair care product ads and prescription ads and fuel ads, which I guess is not very surprising. So this is in the US. Any guesses what it would be in Canada? What? Similar? Cereal ads. So cereal ads, apparently, Canadians love their cereals. That elicits the highest enjoyment. So we can start doing this type of analysis. We can look at gender difference, age differences. Oh yeah, and the candy ads, not so much. Yeah. Beyond advertising, though, and media research, we are now moving into new verticals. For example, real-time audience feedback. So we're doing a lot of work around video conferencing and where you can analyze the mood of a meeting, for example, live streaming and virtual reality, gaming, and also measuring the mood of a crowd like this. I'll share a few examples. So one is some work we did with Hershey and a creative agency called Wild Blue Tech, and they built what's called a smile sampler. So you walk into, I don't know if you have Walmart here or CVS, like you walk into a retail store and you've got a big choice of chocolates to choose from, so they have the smile sampler machine. And you walk over to it, you smile, and it dispenses some chocolates, and hopefully that persuades you to buy some. Another example, this is it's a concert series kicked off last week in Santa Monica, California. It's 70,000 LEDs that are powered by a number of factors, including crowd density, the gestures of the crowd, and the emotions of the crowd, and it's using our technology to power these LEDs. So we're starting to see a new paradigm of digital experiences that are powered by emotion. And we're not building them. To me, what's most exciting is that we can make this technology available to developers, and they can take it and just totally innovative applications of it. we're also looking into education. So I don't know about you in Canada, but in the US, there's a lot of, education is in a lot of trouble. And for example, 1.2 million kids drop out of high school, and they account for 75% of the crime rate. 50% drop out of college, and that amounts to over $50 billion of cost for the country. And so by the time they drop out, though, it's too late to take any action and help. So what we're proposing is to integrate our technology so you get a real-time assessment of emotion engagement and attention earlier in the process, and you can flag the students who are at risk and hopefully interfere, either by personalizing the curriculum or getting them more help, hopefully to lower dropout rates. So we're in early conversations with partners where we're piloting some of this technology. Okay. Health and wellness is another area that's very close to my heart. As I said, I started off building wearables for autism, and this is now being commercialized, which is fantastic. Telemedicine is another one, virtual coaches and therapists for depression, pain, and dementia. And then ultimately, as Anne said, you know how all our phones have location services embedded in them, and there's all sorts of apps that are built on top of those? I envision a world where our devices have emotion chips, and these emotion chips just sit in the background, and they could be our phone, could be our fridge, could be our car, and they're able to read our emotions and respond in ways that improve our experience. And I thought I'd share some key learnings from my experience kind of moving from academia to business. My first is really just be the world's expert in what you do. Hire the best team. I kind of pick people from all over the world who, there's not a lot of us who do facial expressions of emotion technology, and so I actually recruit them from London, France, Canada. Actually, I have a Canadian on my team as well, so I think that that's really important. And it's important for a startup to focus. We hear that all the time, of course, but to me, don't focus myopically. Be open, always have a listening ear to other opportunities. And as I said, we see Affectiva as a journey. Marketing and advertising is a great revenue stream for us, but it's not the be-all, end-all, and so we're always looking out for the next thing. And then the third one is ignore people who say it cannot be done. When we were raising money out of MIT, we ran into so many people who would just say, oh, you can't do this. It's too challenging. We'll never raise any money. And so we ended up raising, $20 million from top-tier investors, both on the East Coast and the West Coast. So I just say persevere and persist. And then finally, have passion. To me, what drives me out of bed is this conviction and belief that by humanizing technology, we have a golden opportunity to really transform how we connect with our machines, but also how we connect and communicate with one another. So, thank you.